All right. Hello, my name is Terry Barber, and this is my presentation on the future of hydrogels. So, what exactly is a hydrogel? Hydrogels are groups of organic molecules, and they're most commonly made with polymers. So, polymers are just certain, usually organic in nature. It can vary, but they're usually just small building blocks of molecules that can react in a chain reaction and make long strands, or in this case, a beautiful mesh network of molecules. And that's what hydrogels are, is a nice beautiful mesh of these polymers that have fantastic affinity to water. So they can, take in a bunch of water, or the real more applicable thing is they can take in any type of polar molecule. So it's not just water. So the name hydrogel, it's accurate, but they can do more than just take in water. And like I said, depending on that, what polar molecules they take in, they can really make it more diverse and change what type of specific job you want this hydrogel to perform. What uses can hydrogels have? So, hydrogels aren't completely bleeding edge technology, but there's definitely been more research with them in the last 4 or 5 years than there has been before. So like I said before, different functional groups can be added to the base polymer structure, which is usually like a carbon chain of some type, depending on, hydrogel is a very broad term. But depending on what functional groups you add to it, really determines how well or what job the hydrogels perform. So amine groups can be added, carboxylic acids, just acid groups, sulfuric groups, all sorts of things can be added to these carbon chains, these carbon hydrogels, to perform different tasks, such as regulating pH balances. Some hydrogels can even expand depending on which molecules are added to it. So they can take up more volume or less volume. Distribute medicines, a very common type of hydrogel application, for such as like if you have an open wound, you can place some hydrogel in it, and it can help distribute antibacterial medicine to prevent infections, stuff like that. Really cool applications in the medical field. Like I just said, they can be used to fight infections. They're very flexible, so like the name suggests, they're gel-like, they're squishy and malleable. They can, fit just about any type of container or vessel they need to be used for. And the one we'll be talking about mostly today is ones that can be electrically charged, like batteries that can hold charge and distribute electricity when it needs to. So this abomination of the name is the hydrogel we're going to be talking about. So this one, like I said, it can hold charge and distribute exactly like a battery can, which is really cool. So the matrix of this hydrogel not only can hold charge, but it also has this ability to regenerate if it's damaged, if it's like cut in half or something. And not only that, it's extremely lightweight, so there's not too many like heavy molecules like you'd find in a normal battery like zinc and lead. This just has much lighter weight, better regenerative properties, which give it a great advantage over normal like common day batteries you'd think of. So like I said previously, this thing, DMAPS PA H2SO4 BAS, is made up of these 4 molecules. Acrylic acid, DMAPS, which is a common name for 3-dimethyl ammonium profane sulfonate. APS, which is ammonium persulfate. and BAAS, which is bromamine acid sodium. So the two, acrylic acid and DMAPs, these are the major like backbone structure of the hydrogel, where the bromamine and acid sodium, this is more like in the matrix of these two polymers, and this is what allows for it to distribute and hold charge mostly. So, like I said, this hydrogel has really cool regenerative property, and this is because not only does it have ionic associations, it has hydrogen bonds. So right here we can see that these ionic associations between the nitrogen group and the sulfate group help strengthen its bonds. But not only that, the hydrogen bonds on these carboxylic acid groups also help strengthen its bonds. So if you were to like slice it and maybe cleave some covalent bonds in like the carbon structure, or whatever, you cleave a chunk of this hydrogel in half, you can just butt up the two cut ends together, and now you'll have these ionic associations and hydrogen bonds that'll help keep the hydrogel together after being sliced open. Really cool. They're called dynamical bonds, which I've never heard of till researching this hydrogel. Like I said before, this mesh matrix is really cool, and it holds the bromonium acid in these pockets that the hydrogel polymer structure makes. And that's what allows for the distribution of charges. This is an image showing the elasticity of this hydrogel. 2000% strain, and it can just go back to its normal shape. And this is also what the researchers did. They were powering this watch with this hydrogel, which is really cool. So this is what I was talking about before. They cut a chunk of this hydrogel in half, and if you just butt up the two loose ends together, these ionic and covalent bonds attach to one another and give it this really cool regeneration. These are some really good images showing, close up what's happening after you slice it, and you can see them start, bonding back together. After 15 minutes of them just mushed up together, the hydrogel's almost exactly the way it was before. Stretchable, malleable, still holds its charge. And we can shape it because it's so malleable and stretchable and can do all sorts of stuff. We can shape it into any shape we want, and that's what these images are. Just different fun shapes that the scientists thought were cool. So specifically, the DMAPS hydrogel will most definitely, because it's such a good battery, will be used for personal portable electronics like phones, watches. In this paper that they wrote, they were talking about dermal implants. That seems really like in the future, but like possible wearable electronics you would have like in your like body, which seems pretty cool. So this was a quote from the actual paper they wrote, which I have sourced at the end, that the specific capacity maintains 96% after being bent and released 400 times. So that's just showing how structurally the same hydrogel can just be bent over and over again and still have the exact same charge and discharge cycles. And 89% of the charge and discharge cycles, let me rephrase that. After 5,000 charge and discharge cycles, the amount of capacity that the hydrogel could maintained was 89%, which is way better than any lithium-ion batteries we use nowadays, which is really cool. And I hope they can implement this sometime soon. Like I said, this is cutting-edge technology. Hydrogels, not so much, but this specific one, at the time of researching this, this was the only paper about this gel. So it's hard to say when this will ever come to market. You know, there's no way to know. These are the sources I had. And I would ask some questions, but this is just a video, so I guess I can't really answer any questions. Thank you for your time.